My name is Janet Michael. I came to Western Canada Theatre in 1984 when my husband, David Ross, was hired as the artistic director. I was determined that by the time I was 30, that I would be making a living in theater. That was my goal, and I was. That was around the time, of course, that I met David. He was doing extremely well in St. John's in Newfoundland. He decided that he really wanted to work alone. He knew that Michael Dobbin was leaving, and he started maneuvering so that he could be in line for that job. And then, you know, he got that job, and I followed him out here. For us, Canadian culture and Canadian theatre was like a religion. I mean, it really was. We were absolutely devoted to people in Canada nurturing their own culture. So we did that in Newfoundland, and when we got to Kamloops, I mean, the very first thing we did was Boris Karloff slept here. And that was the beginning of us saying, look, we want to know about Kamloops, we want to know about BC, we want to help to tell your stories, you know. And of course, David was from here, so that theme of doing local and national work and helping write it ourselves and then helping other people to write their stuff was really, really our focus, and David's focus, really, but also mine. You know, we included Margot Kane, fabulous reputation in theater as an Indigenous woman, to come here and be part of, you know, Boris Karloff slept here. It was kind of, I guess, a way in which we were saying, look, we want to acknowledge the fact that we live in the middle of this culture that we don't know anything about. And when are we going to find out about it, you know? Ernestine Shuswap Gets Her Trout was in some ways like a pinnacle of what we were doing. It's so interesting to look at it because it's like bookends. We wanted to tell this story about the history of the city of Kamloops. And we started it with a tiny little snippet that involved the Secwepemc people. We went from that to David commissioning Thompson Highway to write Ernestine Shuswap Gets Her Trout, which was like acted by Indigenous people, written by an Indigenous person, about a huge event that happened here when Wilfrid Laurier came to Kamloops. To see the company go from Boris Karloff slept here to Ernestine Shuswap Gets Her Trout, that was an amazing achievement, I think, for David. Those stories are the ones that we should be sharing with and digging up and getting our children to write about. And that's how eventually you have strong theater. Almost everything to do with our culture and the health of our culture comes down to how we handle our education system. And we have to give our very small children the well-rounded kind of education that they need, so that, you know, they have the opportunity for sport, but they also have the opportunity for music and theater and dance. One of the things that I loved most about acting was that for a brief period of time, I had to climb into somebody else's skin and see the world through their eyes. When you put small children into a play, even if it's like a 5-minute play with like 10 lines, you know what I mean? They learn a little bit about what it is to see the world from somebody else's perspective. It gives them tolerance of other people, and it gives them understanding and wisdom, you know, about why people do what they do. I do think that theater is an amazing teaching tool for children, which is why I think, you know, theater should be included in children's experience right from the very beginning. My name is Janet Michael, and my Western Canada Theatre is a window on life.